All right. Welcome back, good people. My name is Larry James. My company is Speak with Larry, no spaces. And what I'm going to talk about in this video is controlling your use of available credit when it comes to establishing, reestablishing, and growing your credit history, right? This is very important in today's time because a lot of people are not really familiar with the actual process for uh, creating, maintaining, and growing their credit history. So I want to share some information with you about that today in this short video. Hopefully, you'll be able to take some, things away from this as you're working on, increasing your credit score. Now, approximately 30% of your credit score is calculated by weighing how much of your available credit you actually use. This is almost as important as your payment history. The scoring system's main concern is how you are handling your revolving credit, i.e., your credit cards. Now, it looks like it looks at how much you owe on your credit cards, the com- the and compares that amount to the credit limit of those cards. The closer you get to your limit on those cards, the lower your credit score will be. Let me say that again. The closer you get to your limits on your card, the lower your credit score will be. If you want to have this factor weighed strongly in your favor, here are some things you can do. One, make sure you know the credit limits on all your cards and don't let the balance on any of your cards climb above 30% of that limit. For example, if the limit on one of your cards is $1,000, don't let that balance get above $300. Makes sense, right? Now, if you have a number of cards, but you have a favorite that you like to use and you often run a balance near the limit, stop doing that. Let me say that again. Stop doing that. Instead, spread your monthly card use among your various cards, keeping the balance low on each one. Figure out a system that works for you. For example, if you have three cards with comparable limits, use one card for the first 10 days in the month, switch to another card for the next 10 days, and so on. Now, whether or not you pay the entire balance on your cards every month, send in your payment as soon as possible. This will increase the number of days each month that your account shows a low balance. And this in turn increases the likelihood that this low balance will be the number that your card company reports to the credit reporting agency. And if you have a card that doesn't have a preset limit like American Express, the credit card company reports the highest balance that you have established since you got the card. And the credit reporting agencies treat that high balance just like a credit limit for purposes of calculating your utilization rate. Now, if you have such a card, figure out what your historical high watermark is, and don't let your future balance climb above 30% of that amount. Now, secondly, if you look back on your statements and you see that your highest balance was pretty low, maybe you've always used this card sparingly, then transfer some balances from another card to this account to pump up the balance. Pay the card down to zero right away, and then go forward from there reverting back to your usual light use of that card. If one of your cards is above 30% and you have other cards that are not, don't be afraid to transfer balances as necessary to get all the utilization rates below, say it with me, 30%. And if you don't have the cash flow to get all your cards below 30% and keep them there, go through the exercise of spreading everything out and getting as close to 30% on each card as you possibly can. And remember, for purposes of helping your credit score, a 40% utilization rate is better than a 70 or 80% utilization rate. And if you have a card with a high limit, say $20,000, and other cards have lower limits, maybe $5,000 each, do what you have to do to get the 20,000 cards utilization rate down to where it should be. In other words, below 30%. Do this even if it means that you'll go over 30% on one or more of the other cards. A high utilization rate on a card with a high limit hurts your score more than a 30% violation on a lower limit card. And if all else fails, don't be afraid to call your credit card company and request a limit increase. But be sure to talk with them first about exactly how to do this and whether you'll likely qualify for the increase that you're looking for. Now, you also might ask if they intend to pull your credit report as part of the process of deciding whether to grant your request for an increased limit. If you're only talking about one card, you're trying to get your 35% utilization rate on that card down below 30%, and you've had a number of recent inquiries, then the cost of another inquiry on your credit might not be worth it. Don't assume that you can run a high balance, pay it off at the end of the billing period, and by so doing, escape the utilization trap. Nope, it doesn't work like that. Credit card companies report the balance that shows on your account on the date they send in their report to the credit reporting agencies. You might get lucky, they might report on the very day your full balance payment is posted and your balance goes to zero, but it isn't likely. Chances are they'll decide to send in the report on the account when the balance is way above 30% of the limit. So don't assume that you'll be okay if you have an overall utilization rate of under 30% for the combined limits of all your cards, because you won't. It's the utilization rate on each individual card that counts. And finally, if you have only one or two revolving accounts and you're running above 30% on either or both, consider another account or two. Opening a new account isn't always a good idea from a scoring point of view, but the positive effect of getting your card below 30% should outweigh any negative effect resulting from the new account. Simple enough, right? You see how these little bits and pieces, little gold nuggets, little information bites help you process things on a different level? That's what I want to reach with you guys on these short video clips. I want to be able to have you think about some things that you may or may not have heard and then take action on those. Got it? All right. Again, Larry James, Speak with Larry. And as always, share with someone else what I've shared with you.